Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna give you time to come into the chat. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and I'm here visiting some family outside of Indianapolis, and so that's why my background is a little bit different. And I'm in a hotel. I saw that Mike Tyson made some interesting remarks about being a black man, and I thought that would make for an interesting conversation. And before I begin, I want to welcome everybody to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. So if you're not black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out. This is not a good place for you if you are stupid or simple-minded or a one-dimensional thinker. But if you are intelligent and you're looking for intelligent conversations with other intelligent people, then this might be the place for you. So Mike Tyson, let me know, guys, if you can see me and hear me. Give me a yes or no if you can see me or hear me okay. And I want to say hello to everybody from the African History Network. I'm streaming live there as well. Anyway, so let me hop into this. Let me scoot this over. Okay. Hey, Doc. Hey, Jay Real says Doc and fam from Indianapolis. All right. Well, I'm out right outside of Indianapolis. I met the lady at the hotel and she kind of freaked out. She said, "You look like Dr. Boyce Watkins." I said, "I better look like him because I think I am him." And yeah, she didn't believe me at first, but eventually I convinced her that it was me. But anyway, guys, so you can see me and hear me okay? Okay, thanks, Jay Real. I appreciate you telling me. Thank you, Mike C. and Jay Bizzle and Devon and everybody else. Fumlani from Johannesburg. Yeah, Johannesburg is big on my mind. We're actually setting up a space there. I'm going to have an office in Johannesburg. So I'll keep you posted on that. So, all right, so here's the deal. So Mike Tyson said some things that were pretty interesting about being a black man. And effectively, give me a yes or no if you saw this, where Mike basically said that that being a black man, or that he didn't set a good example as a black man, and that he believes that's the reason why his kids are not attracted to black people. I don't know if you guys saw that. And a lot of you who've been around, to watch Mike for many, many years have seen his story. Mike Tyson is one of those guys that just has a story that's, it's whenever they make it into like do a serious, like made for TV movie or some biopic called Tyson, it's going to be a hit because this man has a ton of stories. He has more stories than the Bible. And they're interesting stories. And I think what makes Mike especially intriguing is the fact that Michael is a dude who was always really reflective. Even when he was in his complete knucklehead stage, he was always able to articulate his mental illness in a way that was nothing short of impressive. I mean, did anybody else notice that? Did anybody else ever notice how deeply intelligent, introspective Mike was sounding, and then he would say something really deep and brilliant, and you say, okay, he's finally getting it together, and then next thing you know, you hear he's like arrested for something crazy, right? So he seems to be a guy that's always been pretty self-aware as far as crazy people go, because Mike was bona fide legit. He was a little bit off, and it's okay to say that, but there was a type of respect you had to have for him, for the fact that he could tell you that he was off. He could tell you why he was off. He could tell you how far off he was, and I really thought that was pretty interesting, and I remember also feeling, there are a few people from the 90s that I feel represent truly lost opportunities. I mean, really extreme, sad stories. When you talk about people that just had it all, had just a special kind of talent that you don't see anywhere else, but it just kind of went out the window. And those three people are Mike Tyson, Lauryn Hill, and DMX. Like, those three people stick out in my mind as three people who literally were on top of the world and literally just seemed to crash and burn. Now, I'm not trying to judge. I'm not trying to diss. I'm not trying to hate on them or anything, right? But I am pointing out those three people because these were three individuals that had the kind of like once in a generation kind of talent. Like Alicia and I were listening to Lauryn Hill in the car, and we were, introducing the kids to Lauryn Hill. We were like, listen to Lauryn Hill. Don't be, Lizzo's good, Lizzo's cool, but let me show you what happens when a woman ain't got to twerk for attention, right? But she could just sing and blow and be the coolest thing in the block and just provide you with the type of entertainment you're not going to see anywhere else. People like Lizzo stand out. Victory Boyd, who signed her with Rock Nation. I'm proud of Victory. I know that family very well. Her family's actually, I'm collaborating with her father. He actually offered the idea of doing a Black Love album and, collaboration with Victory and a bunch of other artists. And she's going to sing at our wedding. And Victory Boyd is such a good singer that she sang for Jay-Z. He signed her to Rock Nation on the spot. Last time I checked, she was out touring with Kanye West. I mean, if you hear Victory Boyd, you'll never forget that voice. And so, basically, like I think about Lauryn Hill, I think about all that talent she had and how it just seemed like you're always rooting for her to get it back together. You're always hoping that she could hold it together long enough to do a great tour. Does anybody else feel that way? Is anybody like, if you're rooting for Lauryn Hill like I am, like just say something, because I feel like we were all kind of rooting for Lauryn Hill. And then the last one was DMX. A lot of us were rooting for him, because when he came out, this guy was making hit records like it wasn't nothing. He was right there on top of the world, like where Suge Knight was, before Suge stuff got out of control. So you just have these examples of Black people that, really had the world handed to them, on a platter. And for whatever reason, something happened. Maybe it was drugs, maybe it was mental illness, maybe it was bad choices, maybe it was just life. I don't know. But something kind of derailed that, right? So Mike Tyson's in that category. I am actually by marriage a second cousin to Muhammad Ali. I am. My aunt married his cousin, so I'll take what I can get, because I grew up so inspired by him. He ran the same streets of Louisville the same way I did. I look up to him as a symbol of courage. I always have. He's literally my favorite human being on the planet, right with Malcolm X. But I will say this, if Tyson and Ali were to have gone into the ring together, even Ali agreed with me when they asked Ali, they said, "What do you think would have happened if you and Mike Tyson had gotten into the ring together?" And he said he was kind of slurring his speech at the time. He wasn't really where he used to be. He wasn't quick tongued like he used to be, but he just went like this. He said he just went like, I think he hit himself in the face and went like that. Basically saying like Mike Tyson might have beat that ass. Like, I'm not saying it would have happened for sure, but I would say Mike Tyson used to make grown men cry. He had that kind of talent and could have had a legendary career, which he did, but just not in the right ways. And so when I heard Tyson's statement, that reflective statement about how he didn't set a good example as a Black man, I wondered how Mike himself perceives some of the choices he made. And I really was actually quite impressed and happy about the fact that he and T.I., he said it on T.I.'s podcast, that's called Expeditiously. I was actually happy about the fact that they were taking the time to even reflect on what it means to be a Black man. That setting a good example as a Black man is very important, and not just setting a good example as a human being. No, that's good, but that's not enough. Not just setting a good example as a man. That's good, but not enough. Setting a good example as a Black man, like you are a Black man. Like it's okay to have a Black identity. It's okay to be Black first. If you Black first, type B1 in the chat. So we all know that we Black first up in here. B1, Black first, right? So I like the fact that a lot of our celebrities are now understanding the importance of becoming Black first, because when people see you, they see Black first. When a white man sees you, he sees you as the Black guy. He doesn't see you as an accountant. He doesn't see you as a plumber. You're the Black plumber. He doesn't just see you as, as a performer. You're the Black performer, right? And it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's America, right? But I think that we can unify around our Blackness. A lot of people make the false mistake, or they make the mistake of assuming that Black people can never stick together, that we have no unity. Well, I think that's a little bit misguided for two reasons. One, if you think white people are completely unified all the time, you're a damn lie. If you study World War II and you look at what white folks were doing to other white folks in World War II, it was crazy. I mean, they were killing each other in the thousands and thousands and thousands. And then, also with Black people, if you think about it, politically, we're the last voting bloc that there is, in terms of 40 million people kind of voting kind of all mostly in the same direction. So we unify on a lot of issues. Politically, we unify in terms of race. I think it doesn't take much to help a Black person know that they're Black. And so the only people that were kind of out of sync with the Black community a lot of times were the celebrities. The celebrities were the ones who got in this world where they thought they were white and didn't think they were Black anymore. So and even that's changed. changing. I think a lot of celebrities are starting to become woker, whatever the definition of woke happens to be, and they're talking about being black. Now, anyway, before I move on, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button right now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Please hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thank you very much for doing that. That really helps the podcast. And if you want to support the growth of the podcast, go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. So here's the other thing with Tyson. So Tyson basically seemed to feel that because, his children want to date white people, that it's his fault, that he didn't set a good example as a black man. And I'm not going to say that's wrong. I'm going to say that it probably was somewhat confusing and challenging to grow up with Mike Tyson as a father. In fact, I think it's challenging to have any celebrity as a parent. I really believe that celebrity parents, have a different life for their children. Even T.I. can identify with that, right? I saw T.I. over in Ghana. He was over there with our group in Ghana. And it was right after he'd had a crazy controversy with his daughter, where he was talking about checking his daughter's hymen and all these other things that I don't understand. I don't want to check anybody's hymen. I don't even know where. I wouldn't even know where to find it. You'd have to give me a map to find the hymen because I don't know. I don't think about my child's hymen like that. But T.I., with all the pressure that people were putting on him for what he was saying about his daughter's hymen, I think that before we get caught up in the whole, you're a bastard and it sucks to be your daughter because look what you're putting me through. You got to also remember that having a celebrity parent gives you benefits and privileges that a lot of people don't get, right? Most 16, 17-year-old girls can't say, my daddy took me on a ride on a private jet, okay? Most 16, 17-year-old daughters can't say, my daddy took me to the mall and said, buy whatever you want. Most teenagers can't say, that we live in a 10,000 square foot house or whatever, right? So, or that I met Denzel Washington last week, right? Most teenagers can't say that. So ultimately, I think that we, have to sort of always know the balance between the two. So now I think with Tyson, I think the challenge though with him was that he was famous, but he wasn't rich for very long. It seemed like he was rich for a while. You're supposed to be rich and famous. That's supposed to be part of the benefit. But he didn't, a lot of his money got lost. Like apparently, with his dealings with Don King, a lot of that money kind of disappeared. And then also you had to deal with the fact that there's a lot of publicity. So, sometimes it's good publicity, sometimes it's bad publicity. You just roll with it, right? But with Tyson, you had sometimes a lot more bad than good. Right. A lot more bad publicity than good publicity. It's not fun when your dad's getting arrested or whatever. Right. Like you look at, Bill Cosby's kids. Right. For many, many years, there were many privileges and benefits that came from being the child of Bill Cosby. Now there's, not a lot of benefits there. It's more of a nuisance than anything. Right. So I think with Tyson, it might be a little bit in that category, even though Tyson never went to jail or anything like that. And I scratched that. He did go to jail. Why did I say he didn't go to jail? Of course he went to jail. He went to jail with that whole thing with the lady in the 90s. But the thing about that, and that's even interesting because I remember that actually Fox News, believe it or not, interviewed some of the jurors in Tyson's rape trial who actually said one of the most compelling testimony I heard. Some of the jurors said, if we'd heard all the evidence, we would not have convicted him. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but the lady, I forgot her name. Somebody give me her name to remind me who it was that accused Tyson of rape. But the woman's ex-boyfriend, Desiree Washington. Yeah. Desiree, I don't know if y'all know. Tell me if you knew this. Desiree Washington's ex-boyfriend said she falsely accused me of rape. That basically because she was so ashamed of her father knowing that she'd had sex because he would call her all kinds of names and everything else, that she just went home and said, oh, daddy, he raped me. So he went to the police to try to tell his story, and they did not admit that evidence. They did not admit that as evidence in support of Tyson. So even in that situation, that's questionable. Now, the thing about Tyson, though, I live in Indianapolis. Yeah, that's right. Was it in Indianapolis, Jay? It might have been in Indianapolis. I think was it Indianapolis, babe? Yes, it was. Wow, it's a small world. I'm in Indianapolis right now, so maybe everything happens for a reason. Is it metaphysical, baby? Everything's metaphysical, ain't it? She says everything's metaphysical. So y'all, if y'all in that metaphysics, y'all would like that. Anyway, so that's so crazy. So going back to Tyson, I actually have an admiration for the guy in that he seems interesting to talk to. I don't know how easy it is to trust him emotionally because unfortunately he's gone back and forth. I think in terms of what his children are choosing to do, the fact that they avoid black people, I don't really know. I've seen examples actually though, where having a father, a black male father who, you know, engages in certain kinds of behavior can shape a child's thinking. Like I told you guys about the girlfriend I had in college whose father was, you know, in her mind, a piece of shit. So she fantasized about being with a white man in order to get away from shitty black men. A lot of times there's actually books and articles out there. And one of them was, I think called like My Father Was My First Boyfriend, which basically kind of says that if your dad is a piece of shit and you extrapolate that, like you sort of look at your father and you say, oh, all men are like this, then yeah, I can see where that could happen. But I think also it might have to do with the lifestyle you had. You know, if your kids were growing up, going to private schools, living in mansions, living in white neighborhoods, maybe they didn't see a lot of black people. You know, a lot of times we assume that our children almost genetically inherit, you know, our hood experience, or that they know what it's like to be poor because we know what it's like to be poor. Well, a lot of times your kids don't know anything about that because you never let them sort of see that. You never expose them to that. And so I think that if you don't expose your children to anything that's positive about being black, then yeah, they're going to be brainwashed like everybody else. Because remember, you live in a white supremacist society. And I told you that one of the biggest myths about white supremacy is that we believe the white supremacist must always be white. White supremacists must not always be white. And in fact, in many cases, probably most cases, the white supremacist is actually black. Is black people who believe whites are superior to them because we are consuming the media that's telling us that narrative. We're consuming the education that's giving us that narrative, right? We're on the job every day working for a white man, serving a white man. That's our narrative, right? If you want to succeed in entertainment, you know, you got to go out and have a gimmick. You got to coon dance or whatever, right? Because that's your narrative. So at the end of the day, white supremacy has infected all of us, not just white people. Now I want to say thank you. I see a brother made a donation, Black Mountain Hotep. Thank you very much. He says, thank you for all the advice you've given. It empowers me. Awesome. I'm a former ex-convict. So you're an ex-convict. I'm messing with you, brother. Well, I don't care if you in my mind, you're not a convict at all. You are a free black man because you're freer than most of the people I know who never had to do any time in the pen. Let's see. I help brothers like myself re-educate themselves and succeed. $10 and I will enrich your life. Okay, $10. Now pay attention now. The URL is gumroad, gumroad.com/Trey Quinn, TreyQuinn. Now, what I want you to do, Trey, my brother, is a Black Mountain Hotep, or if your name is Trey, I want you to try to maybe go to HostGator and get you a shorter URL because that's going to cause you some challenges where people try to find you. So if you guys see that URL up there that he put in there, I hope you can copy it, or maybe, brother, go ahead and copy it in there again in the chat so other people can see it. And I want to say I'm very, very proud of you. And it ain't about where you've been, man. It's about where you're going. That's what determines where you end up. So you keep on going, and don't you let anybody make you feel bad about the mistakes of the past. You just keep moving and keep making good decisions, man. I'm very proud of you. A lot of our black men have been political prisoners. We know this. We know how the prison system works. Doesn't mean everybody that went to prison was innocent, but there's a lot of non-innocent people that never went to prison, right? So it's not to say that everybody that goes to prison is an angel. We know that that's not true. But also remember that every person that did make a mistake or was caught making a mistake, that does not mean they're not redeemable. You got to understand that we like to look at the world in black and white. We like to believe that there are just good people and bad people. Ain't no such thing as a person that's good all the time. Ain't no such thing as a person who's bad all the time. Most of the time, you either have a bad person who might have still done a few good things, or you have a good person who might have done one or two bad things, right? And when you're black, the bad things you do get highlighted. That's how you look, for example, at the media. You saw where Oprah and Gayle were spotlighting the bad things that black men were accused of and ignoring the bad things that white men were accused of. And the reality is that we know white people commit crimes too, but they are not as likely to go to prison. White women especially are the ones who are least likely to go to prison. And you mean to tell me that the reason that there are fewer white women in prison is because they don't commit crimes? Are you really trying to tell me that white women don't lie, white women don't cheat, white women don't steal, white women don't hustle, white women don't break the law, white women don't harm other people? No, they just don't have police follow them around to find any little mistake you make. Because I can guarantee you this much: if you follow any person around long enough and you check into their background closely enough, you're going to find some shit somewhere that can embarrass them. Tell me seriously, right now, if I went into your life and dug through every single thing you did, talked to every single person you ever knew, followed you around with a camera, and documented every single thing you did your whole entire life, do you think I could find anything to take you down with? Anything? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Let's admit to that. So we got to admit that, and that all of us, everybody makes mistakes. And the important thing to understand, the reason it's important is because you throw a lot of your greatest black men away when you write brothers off just because they made a mistake when they were younger. It doesn't mean you should go trust anybody and everybody. I mean, you have to have some nuance there. But, the fact that they're throwing away so many of your men is part of the reason that your community's falling apart. That's why your community's falling apart, is because they're throwing away all your damn men because they're like, oh, he made a mistake and he's out. He made a mistake and he's out. And white boys making mistakes, getting locked up. Look at George Bush's life. George Bush, it was a supreme fuck up. George Bush got into all kinds of ridiculous shit his whole entire life, and he became president of the United States. They didn't even throw him away. So why would you let them throw your people away when they won't throw their own people away? They don't throw their own people away because people make mistakes and people are redeemable. And it's stupid to walk around thinking otherwise. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let me keep going. Raymond L., thank you for your donation. He says, speaking of metaphysical, thank you for your knowledge, Dr. Boyce. Please support Black businesses by checking out it's the number one first metaphysics.com. peoplefirstmetaphysics.com. I'm gonna copy this URL in here so you guys can see it. And remember that you want a URL that people can say and people won't misspell it, so that one day if Charlemagne the God or somebody calls you and says, we want you on the Breakfast Club, and they say, what's your website? You don't want to shout a website out that everybody's going to misspell. You want to get one that everybody's going to spell easily. So you might want to buy a URL and redirect it to your page. That's a good way to do things. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share and subscribe button. Please hit the thumbs up button. And also don't forget the Black Business School has a free membership. So if you want to get started for free in the Black Business School, go to theblackbusinessschool.com. Everybody in here needs to invest for your kids. I demand it. I insist upon it. That's what you're supposed to do. All right. So anyway, so last but not least, let me say this. I think Tyson's remarks about, I didn't set a good example as a black man. I was actually impressed with those remarks. I was glad they were having this conversation. You don't see a lot of black celebrities. It's real weird. You might ever notice how a lot of black celebrities they get to Hollywood and shit, and it's almost like they forgot that they're black. Or the only time they reflect on blackness is when it's something stupid and stereotypical. I mean, I love Eddie Murphy's movies, Coming to America and Harlem Nights, and I love Eddie as a talent. But it wasn't until I got older that I started watching his skits from Saturday Night Live. And I said, okay, so the thing with Saturday Night Live is they love bringing these black people in to play these really stereotypical roles. Leslie Jones and what's Tracy Morgan and the big dude Keenan. Most of their roles when they play black people, they're playing somebody stupid. They're playing somebody ignorant. They're playing some ghetto shit. Seriously, this is what they think about you. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's okay being black if blackness means being a clown, but if blackness means being intelligent, they don't want to do that part. If blackness means being a profound activist, they don't want to do that part. See, they don't want you. They want you to have the Leslie Jones version of blackness, or what's that guy's name? This stupid guy that I do not think is funny. The other guy from SNL, Tracy Morgan. If you bring them the Tracy Morgan version of blackness, they're cool with that. But don't bring them the Malcolm X version of blackness. They don't want that on TV. Or you bring them the Marcus Garvey version of Malcolm X. Of blackness, they'll kick that part out, right? So they don't want the Marcus Garvey blackness. They want the Tracy Morgan blackness because they like the stereotype. They don't like the activists. They don't like the empowered black man. They don't like the intelligence. They don't like the strength. They don't like you presenting yourself as a king or a queen. They want you presenting yourself as a joke. If you present yourself as a joke, white people will always love you. That's the way it is for black people. Look, go pay attention. Look throughout Hollywood. I want you to count. If you see how many successful black people there are out there, look at how many of them have their success and have their power because they're serving white folks in some capacity. They're either making them laugh or they're, performing. They're getting on stage rapping about some most stereotypical Negro shit, right? or they're whoring it up like a Lizzo or a Cardi B or a Tiffany Haddish, right? You don't really have a lot of empowered examples of Black people that are in the public eye. You have ignorance. They celebrate ignorance. If the more rapper is on drugs, can't spell his own damn name, and is disrespecting his community or bragging about killing Black people, the more they love them, right? And then they say, we're not racist. Look at all these Black celebrities that we're supporting. Well, all your celebrities ain't nothing but a bunch of fucking clowns. They're literally a joke. Literally, not figuratively, like literally, like they're literally favored. They get most favored Negro status because they're making people laugh, right? Well, go listen to some of the interviews I did with Dr. Claude Anderson. I've done about 40 of them by now, I'm sure, maybe 50, 60, 70. I have no idea. And he will tell you that going back to slavery, that the most successful, most popular Black people were typically the ones who were making white folks laugh or who were singing or dancing for them. Right. That translates into the modern day rapper, the modern day comedian, the modern day, and then the modern day athlete. The athletes are entertaining. They don't really want these people in their houses, in their homes. They just want them to entertain the family. Right. So anyway, so I think, with Tyson and T.I., two Black entertainers, which fit exactly what I'm talking about. Right. Tyson. Most white people are afraid of Mike Tyson, but they love to watch him box because they love to see the big, strong Black man as an athletic specimen. And then T.I.'s a rapper, right? Well, rappers gain most favored Negro status, especially if you rap about killing Black people and stuff like that. I'm not dissing T.I., but I'm just saying that's what it is. But they were having a good conversation, though, that I actually thought was impressive. I'd like to hear more of these conversations from some of the Black people that actually have a lot more to say, too. I'd like to hear from some of our Black, like I went to Medellin, Colombia, and I met 5 Black men who were living in Colombia, who were all businessmen. There's a guy named Ace Chapman who owns 37 businesses, who literally, I'm not kidding, 37 businesses. He doesn't run them all. He just owns them. And I met another brother who was a CFO. I met another brother. Actually, I didn't get to meet this brother, but my brother's going to introduce me to him. He's the head of Chevron for all of Colombia or something. I met another brother who, what did he do? He flipped, he did real estate. He was a real estate investor and he made a lot of money doing that. There was another brother I met who they called him the human Google because he was a computer expert. There's another brother I met who was a banker. And so I just want to ask you, how come we don't hear from a diverse spectrum of Black men in our media? How come we're not hearing from the bankers? How come we're not hearing from the business owners? How come we're not hearing from the Black men who are doing technology? Why is it that we always got to hear from a goddamn rapper or a goddamn fucking football, basketball player or a comedian? Seriously, like 90% of the dialogue you hear in your community is from those who've gained most favored Negro status, who are either rapping, singing and dancing, telling jokes, or playing a damn sport. Those people are fine. There's no diss, no hate on any of those people. They always want to make it into a personal thing where Dr. Boyce hates all the rappers. Nobody hate the fucking rappers, but I love the scholars too. I want to hear from the lawyers. I had a sister on here the other day who was a Harvard educated law professor who was a full professor at Georgia State University. I can't remember her name, but she came in yesterday because she's fighting against gentrification in Atlanta right now. Apparently they got a gentrification thing going on. I'm still trying to understand exactly what's happening. And I'm just sitting here thinking this should be one of the most famous Black women in America. So why is it that she can't get no shine because everybody paying attention to whatever Tiffany Haddish said? Or whatever Lizzo's saying. Lizzo talking about come eat my pussy. Like seriously, like literally, that's what she literally said on her Instagram. I don't know if y'all saw that, but like Lizzo, unfortunately, she's been trained to clown herself pretty good. So even after the whole controversy happened with me and her last month, she comes right back and basically is telling, literally, I was stunned by this. She literally, I don't know if y'all saw this. She literally told the whole world to eat her blankety blank. I'm not going to say it again. Tanya Washington's the name. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate that. Professor Tanya Washington. So I want to hear more from the Professor Tanya Washingtons than from the Lizzos and the rappers and the athletes and the comedians. These are people, unfortunately, it doesn't make them bad people, but because we all live in this system, but these are people that have been rewarded by white folks, because they possess some sort of talent that's beneficial to white supremacy. If they had instead become rocket scientists, you would never have heard of any of them. And I think that that's a problem. I think that's something we should be concerned about. That's my 2 cents. So that's it. I don't have anything else to say. It's great talking to you guys. I hope you have a good night, and thank you for hearing me. And thank you on the African History Network for hanging out with me. Follow the African History Network on Facebook. My Instagram, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's The Real Boyce Watkins, The Real Boyce Watkins. And Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins, and then the number 1. So hit the thumbs up button before you go, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Talk to you later. Peace. Mm-hmm.